I recently had the opportunity to try an at-home pharmacogenetic testing kit and was curious to see if what I suspected about my intolerance for pain medication was backed up by science, or was it all in my head as had been suggested by some. The results not only showed that I was correct in my assumption, but red flagged many other drugs that I metabolize either slower or quicker than most. I feel empowered with this new knowledge in my hands when it comes to my own medical journey, so I wanted to know more. So joining me now is Nancy White, CEO of Inagene Diagnostics. Welcome to the show, Nancy.
Thank you so much for inviting me, Candace. It's a pleasure to be here.
This is absolutely fascinating science. I'm so impressed by this, this test. So tell me a little bit about how Inagene came to be.
Yeah, that's a great question. So our co-founder is an internationally renowned leading geneticist, Dr. Kathy Siminovich, at a Mount Sinai Hospital in Toronto. And the company really was founded on the premise of truly bringing complex science to the general population. People often get a little nervous around the word genetics because it is a complex and difficult science. But people, on the other hand, get very excited when they hear about the concept of personalized medicine. And we are coming closer and closer to personalized medicine in our society as the scientific advances of development of new drugs is rapidly advancing. But while we wait for these personalized medicines to truly arrive, pharmacogenetics is truly your first step to unlocking what is your personal predisposition to metabolizing certain agents.
So your company looks specifically at pain medication.
We do, yes.
So covering both mental and physical pain.
Exactly. When you think about the prevalence of pain, whether it's acute, short-term pain, or long-term pain, everyone has experienced pain in some shape or fashion throughout the course of their lifetime. And as we look at the challenges of, impacting our society, the number one cause of long-term disability in our country is chronic pain. More and more people, particularly now during the time of this pandemic, are starting to experience emotional pain. And emotional pain encompasses many areas, things from not only depression, but things like anxiety, the loneliness of social isolation. There's a lot of talk among scientific experts about the mental health pandemic that will be following the COVID pandemic.
Right. And, my report came back and I think I had 6 or 7 antidepressants that were red flagged as absolute do not take on my report. And that is really powerful knowledge because a lot of medications that people get are really a trial and error. You have to try it for a while to see if it works before you know. Well, this will eliminate a lot of that.
100%. And if we go back to the example of depression, I mean, we all know someone in our lives or in our circle of friends that may have tried an antidepressant at some point for depression. A lot of times these medications don't work. And I would venture to guess that the majority of this reason is, again, due to your genetic predisposition to be able to either metabolize or not metabolize. And when we talk to a lot of family health practitioners, the reason they pick one medication over another largely boils down to the experience they've had with that product in their practice. And if they've, tried it in 20 patients and seem to get a pretty good response, then they feel comfortable about trying it again. But that doesn't take into account an individual's differences in how they process medication. So if you are needing a product like that, wouldn't it be great to know which one will and won't work for you? For more than anything, the opportunity to feel better sooner.
So there's 2 areas that I feel really would benefit hugely from this. Now, as a mother, I can't help now, having the knowledge that I know, I can't help but think of my children and how perhaps they have the same intolerances. For example, opioids for me, I metabolize super quickly. And I feel my children are the same. So it would be very powerful for them to know that. Alternatively, I feel like our senior population, who they are often taking a lot of drugs, could benefit from this.
You've hit the nail on the head in that this test is important for everyone. I'll start on the spectrum of our youth and our adolescents. It would be critically important to know what to use and not use in our children for many reasons. I'll touch on opioids because you happen to mention them. As you know, there is an opioid crisis happening in our country here in Canada. Several Canadians die every day due to opioid use. And these are not the, people like to stereotype and think of, the opioid use abusers who might be on the street. No, these people dying are people just like you or me, who've been prescribed a medication and unfortunately have become dependent upon them. So knowing how your body responds to opioids, which we do cover on the test, is critically important, because I also have children, and if my son broke his arm and we went to the hospital, I would prefer that he was given something other than an opioid to treat his pain. And there are several unfortunate documented cases where have been high school athletes who have become addicted and unfortunately have taken their lives through the perils of addiction. But knowing what will and won't work for you is that first step in, again, feeling better sooner. Going to the other end of the spectrum where you talk about seniors, it is not uncommon for many seniors to be on multiple medications. This is a term called polypharmacy. And what becomes tricky in treating these individuals is when you're on so many medications, it's often difficult to ascertain which one is or isn't working. And then there becomes a hesitance to take away certain medications because it gets confusing to know which ones are actually working. So by, again, using a test like this, you can immediately eliminate the ones that you know your body doesn't process. Because, again, more than just processing a medication, medications have side effects. And so you can be taking something that won't work for you, but you could still experience the side effects of using that product. So it's very complex, but through a simple test, you can certainly know what will and won't work.
And, we touched on this a little bit in the extended podcast that we did, but also I think the benefit for seniors is that, heaven forbid, they start to have cognitive decline or are unable to advocate for themselves. This report is there for their caregivers to use and for their doctor to access. So it's always there.
100%. And your DNA never changes. So the minute you're born, your DNA is your DNA. So it's important information to have to carry you through your lifetime.
Okay, so if people want to access this test and try for themselves, I can attest to how easy it is. It was a quick swab at home, dropped it in the mail, and my report came to me online. But how can people go and sign up to get one of these kits?
Yeah, it's a very simple process. You can go to our website, inagene.com, and you can simply purchase it online through our online store. It will be shipped to your home. You take the test in your home, you return it in the postage paid envelope. It goes directly to our lab in downtown Toronto. It is processed, and your results will be, you'll be notified over email, and you can access them through our secure online portal.
And I just want to let people know, just from my own personal experience, I thought, I'm going to get this. I'm not going to understand half of it. It's going to be all in medical jargon and I'm not going to get it. It'll be over my head. It's actually very easy to read, very easy to understand. And I love that it's something that I can literally give to my doctor as well to have in my files.
We 100% encourage you to share your results with your healthcare professional, whether it's a nurse or pharmacist or physician. However, our goal in creating this report was to make it so you could understand it without needing a healthcare professional to help you interpret it. Some people don't want to share their results, and that's their choice. but we've taken a lot of effort to make it readable, and I'm really happy to hear that feedback that you found it easy. So thank you.
It's an amazing test and great Canadian company, and I'm so pleased to have had you on the show. Thank you so much, Nancy.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.